Wild weather is expected for the foreseeable future. We got winter storm chances, severe weather risk, and just about everything in between. And we're seeing a lot of changes in model guidance in the medium to long range also that I really want to take a deep dive into. And I think we will continue to see changes also. My name is Mitch. Good Monday morning. Hope you guys are doing well out there and having a wonderful start to your week so far. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's start off with storm risk. So we got an ongoing severe weather risk right now across areas of the southern tier of the country, the south central U.S., and this will be ongoing into tomorrow further east across areas of the deep south. And we'll mention more of that as we make our way throughout the video. And we got a cold side of this. You see this blue? This is snow, and it doesn't look very impressive, very large on this output here, but this is going to be some heavy snow falling over the next 24 to 48 hours across areas of the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP. And as we continue to make our way forward, timestamp is up here if you lose me as far as the timeline here because I can't talk very fast, but this is getting into tomorrow evening, and this could be some pretty heavy snow. A little compact low pressure, 1,006 millibar low based off the Euro AI run that we're looking at right here. Rain out in front. This is, mostly a lot of warm air, so we're not going to get any snow with this moisture you're seeing here. And of course, it's depicted by the green colors you see on your screen. We continue to move forward on this backside of this low. You see now it's down to a 993. If you live in the UP of Michigan over the next 48 hours, so getting into Thanksgiving Eve, 1 p.m. Wednesday, this could be blizzard conditions in the UP of Michigan. I think we're going to get some blizzard warnings in the UP. We'll see what happens with that. But as we start to make our way into Thanksgiving, we're going to get the lake effect snows. Cold air comes in behind this system. Big cold front that, by the way, has trended colder. And we'll talk about that as we get deeper in the video when we speak on temperatures. So, this isn't going to show very well on this model run, but we got lake effect snows ongoing. Several inches, even feet of snow could fall. And some of the favored lake effect snow areas off all the Great Lakes. And this is getting in the 1 a.m. Friday. You see the blues coming off Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, Lake Huron into southern and southeast areas of Ontario here. And as we continue to move forward, we continue to have lake effect snows. And then it gets tricky. We start to get into Friday, and we got some energy that's starting to move into cold air that's starting to kind of move out. But there could still be just enough cold air around. And this is like this coming Saturday morning, the bluest snow. Shows some snow breaking out across areas of St. Louis, Chicago. And most model guidance shows this. So it's something to watch out for. It looks like the energy sort of gets squashed. So, you see the blue here. This is 7 p.m. Saturday, and then bang, it disappears Saturday night into Sunday. And then more moisture begins to brew here, and we got a lot of moisture across the Rockies, the middle of the country, and this could be a bigger system. This is getting kind of far out, about 6 days out, 7 p.m. Sunday. We have a larger system. Blue is snow, and green is rain, and we could have a wintry mess in between, but the Euro AI model, we kind of have to predict what the precipitation is based off temperatures, and I think we're still working on that as far as model data, but they do a great job with this site at BAM Weather, doing their best guess at what the precipitation types are based off what this model run and temperatures are showing. But this could be a big storm system here. We got a lot of snow across the central and southern Rockies. We just got to watch. Where's the cold air going to be? And then we kind of get into no man's land, right? We start to get between day 7 onward, and who knows what's going to happen. I think this will be a big rain storm across the eastern U.S. Could even have some severe weather. There'll be a lot of cold air right across the middle of the country. But what happens after that? It does show a big juiced up low pressure cutting across areas of the eastern U.S. This will be a big winter storm, but this is also 9 to 10 days out, pretty far out. But the pattern supports a cutting low pressure like this. So, we stop it there. No point in going any further. And we go on and move in fact, we're actually going to look at the Euro here too. And we're going to back this up. What does the Euro show? Okay, and let's get this in motion. And we start to get, same thing. Has a pretty tight, compact, deep low pressure up here across the Great Lakes region. We got some heavy snow falling across areas of northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan. Lake effect snows starting to get ongoing. I think we're going to get a white Thanksgiving up here across a good chunk of the Great Lakes region. This is heavy lake effect snow. we'll be able to take a look at some of these short range model runs as we get a little bit closer in about a day. Lake effect snows will continue, and then bang, there's that first system showing up, just like it was showing up on the Euro AI. It's showing up on the Euro too. And, it's over 1,000 millibar low, but I mean, we got a low pressure, juiced up moisture still hanging around. We got cold air still hanging around with enough moisture going into that cold air. And we got snow flying around as we're getting into this coming weekend across the Midwest, Iowa, surrounding states, and show snow getting into St. Louis, Chicago, Milwaukee, everywhere in between. Maybe a little wintry mix here, a little bit deeper into Missouri. We haven't quite nailed that into a forecast time frame yet, but we're getting closer. But you see all this green and yellow down here. This could very well be severe weather into this weekend. We're getting into 1 a.m. Sunday. If we're being exact about a time frame, we got a lot of moisture going into the eastern U.S. But I mean, it looks like most of that cold air from that first cold front goes away, and then we got more cold air dropping in behind it. Then what happens after that? Okay, we get about a week from today. Most of the country looks quiet. So what happens? We got a low pressure kind of bringing much needed rain across the deep south, but we get into that no man's land, right? We get between pretty much after day 7, another drop of cold air comes down. And I really think after day 7, things get everywhere. And I know everybody's going to say, well, duh, Mitch, it's in the long range. It's always going to be everywhere in the long range. No, this has a next level of difficulty to it. It really does. We're getting a lot of flip-flopping, and I'm not confident on anything once we get pretty far out. I could show you the GFS too, but I don't think we should get hung up too much on individual model data right now. But if we're showing the snowfall based off the Euro ensemble, not exactly a forecast, and this is between now and about 1 p.m. Friday. Now up here, we're pretty much in forecast territory. You see this stripe of snow up here across areas of Montana, the Dakotas, going right through Bismarck. Several inches of snow is forecast in this area, okay? And even getting into areas of northern Wisconsin, I mean, maybe even a foot. Going to get some accumulating snow in Minneapolis too. But look at the UP of Michigan, my loyal followers up here in this region. Man, it is about to abruptly shift to winter up here. I mean, I click in these areas, 12, 14, 15 inches of snow. A lot of snow is possible up into this region. And just to kind of show you how this is backed up by the National Weather Service forecast, this is between now and about Thursday morning. A stripe of several inches of snow is likely through this region in the Dakotas, especially North Dakota. A few inches of wet snow possible as far south as Minneapolis. And then we'll take it over to the upper Midwest. And this is just snowfall between now and Thursday morning. And like I said, this is the National Weather Service forecast, not just model data. And I do want to show you, this is a look at Michigan, and let's see if we can find Wisconsin down here. Yeah, right here. I mean, look at that. That over a foot of snow is forecast. So what you're seeing with this, I mean, off the Euro ensemble, it's right on. It's dead on here. A lot of snow, and this is just between now and basically the next few days. And I mean, this is why you have winter storm watches up for this area. And these will get upgraded to winter storm warnings. And I think we're going to get some blizzard warnings in this area right here. As this low pressure deepens, I think we're going to get some blizzard warnings. But I also want to note here, we have winter storm watches up for south of Buffalo into this favorite area south of Buffalo, between Erie and Buffalo, basically. This is, a slightly higher elevated region in this area. And this is where the lake effect snows like the Pop-Off Lake area a lot. And then for not the Cumberland Plateau, that's Tennessee, the Tug Hill Plateau up here in this region, Watertown, all the way to just north of Syracuse. Winter storm watches up for this area too. And that is because of all this snow forecast in this region. We can actually extend this a little bit further out. Let's go all the way out to about 7 p.m. Sunday. For example, near Erie, Jamestown, and I think more snow than this could fall. But, this is just an ensemble run. It normally doesn't do the best with this, but I think, well over a foot of snow could fall in this area. Buffalo, 3 to 4 inches, and then here's the signal off the Tug Hill Plateau, a lot of snow in this area. But if we back all this up, and you compare it to what we just showed you with all the individual model runs with the Euro AI model run, okay? Let's make this a little bit larger. And let's not get too lost in the details here. Let's extend this 10 days out, okay? That is a heavy footprint of snow across the northern sections of the country. Sharp cutoff to the south, you would expect that. And you got a heavy lake effect snow signature up here. Look at all this snow forecasted off the Euro ensemble. Not a forecast, I need to quit saying that, but just off this model run. 1 to 2 feet of snow scattered about across the UP. But let's make this a little bit larger again and broaden this out. There's even a little bit of a signal showing up down here in Tennessee and the Southern Alps, but I wouldn't expect anything down here. But if we extend this out even further, 15 days, it doesn't extend much further south, but we continue to pad the snow stats up here to the north. And I'm not going to zoom into all these individual areas. No point in doing that yet. But I will tell you, there is a signal for snow that shows. You see this little area that pops up right here? Like, watch this. Boom. That is from that first storm system we just talked about. Right into here. See that first storm system? This is the first one we need to watch out for outside the lake effect snow that will happen before this. And you can see it begins to fill in. We'll get more detailed as far as the forecast snow amounts when we need to. But, you know, moving forward, the next thing to discuss is temperatures. And listen, the winter weather stuff is hard enough to figure out. But honestly, one would argue I need to show you temperatures first because obviously temperatures tells us what kind of precipitation we're going to get. But the Euro ensemble, check this out as we move forward. This is the first cold front. This is starting off the next in 2 days, Thanksgiving Eve, right? We got this cooler air mass, below average temperatures in the blue, above average temperatures in the red and orange. Let's leave it at that, not get too lost in the details of that. Now, as this cold front progresses to the eastern U.S., Thanksgiving Day, which is what this is, has really trended colder. I mean, these green areas, this is anywhere from 8 to as much as 15 degrees below average. So I will say the air mass behind this first cold front has really trended colder. And as we're getting into our Friday, it is going to be a cold start to our weekend across the eastern U.S. So if you've been ready for these winter type temperatures, you're going to put your Christmas tree up this coming weekend after Thanksgiving. It's going to feel like Christmas with how cold it's going to be outside. But this has really trended to well below average temperatures across the eastern U.S. And one would argue this is, a true Arctic air mass. This hangs around with us. And then there's almost a connection between the next air mass that drops right into here as we're getting into Saturday and the air mass still hanging around for the eastern U.S. And this is when everything just gets odd, right? I do think we warm up across the eastern U.S. as we're getting into the first day of December. Ridge will flex. A lot of cold air hanging out across the northern sections of the country. How long will this ridge hang around? As we're getting to December 2nd, still above average temperatures across the southeast. All the cold air is really being kept up to the northern sections of the country. And even into the 3rd, even into the 4th. But as we start to get a full week into December, it looks like that warm air begins to get beat down. And then most of the country past day 10 is below average as far as temperatures. And it looks like a lot of cold air just settles in. And then we could get a ridge flex. But I think once we get past day 7, it's tough to figure out. And the Euro ensemble, same thing. First cold front has trended much colder over the last few days. We've been talking about that, right? Friday, that's a chilly day. We'll focus more on those temperatures when we get a little bit closer. Okay, and then you see the next air mass that moves in. Arctic air mass drops down to the middle of the country. Ridge flexes in response. This trough's going to dig down and make that ridge flex. And as we start to get a couple days into December, still warmer than average across the southeast, and then kind of a reinforcing shot of cold air drops down past day 10. But who knows how this air mass will respond? All we know is just a lot of cold air is dropping down to a low of 48. It's just where is it going to dump? Where is it going to go? And, these are temperatures Thanksgiving morning, a pretty chilly morning across the deep south, nothing unusual, warm across Florida. We got a chilly morning across areas, and this is just one model run, the Euro. But then as we start to move forward, let's see if we can get this back in motion for us. This is as we're getting into Friday morning, this coming Friday morning. These are lows well down into the low 20s across the Mid-South. So, nothing unheard of for this time of the year for areas of the Southeast. But, this is an area of pretty chilly air getting into the eastern U.S. We got single digits up here in the upper Midwest. And then, even as we're getting into Saturday morning, a pretty chilly morning across the eastern U.S. And it'll be just a cold, chilly, I think, Saturday coming up across areas of the Deep South. So rivalry week with college football is going to be quite cold. It's going to feel like what it normally feels like and should feel like at the end of football season. It's going to be some cold football games Saturday if you're tailgating. Big college football weekend. You guys know I love college football. And then after that, a lot of cold air drops down, right? But what happens? There's a lot of things to discuss here. We could have, let's not get too lost in the details, but a lot of cold air begins to drop down. It's just how far south does it drop down? You know, at the very end of the run, past 10 days, it shows the hounds of winter dropping down into the northern section of the country, well below zero temperatures. And then how far does that ooze eastward? And just to discuss this pattern here, this is the Euro ensemble. Okay? This blob of blue, this is a trough with cold air that follows, a dip in the jet that brings cold down from the lower latitude, the higher latitudes, further north. And we got energy associated with this too, but not much with this one. This is mainly just a deep shot of cold air that's going to kickstart the lake effect snows. So this trough is trended deeper across the southeast, which is why you've trended to colder temperatures across the southeast over the last several days for Thanksgiving, Friday into the weekend. So that's cold shot number one. We've locked that in. What happens after that? Trough digs into the western to central U.S. Ridge flexes in response. So it's actually like a trampoline, right? If you were to film somebody jumping on the middle of the trampoline in slow motion, they jump down to the middle. This is going to cause the other sides to raise. It's kind of how the atmosphere is. You deep dive, the jet right in the middle, and this is going to cause the other sides to rise, and that is the ridge flex here and the ridge flex over here, and that's why your southeast ridge flexes. But as we start to move here in time, the ridge gets flattened out, and you got a big broad trough up here in Canada and areas in the northern section of the country. How much does it squash down this ridge? And then this cold air source moves over here, and even though this looks like a warm look across the southern sections of the country, I'm not so sure it's going to be super warm. And what I'll tell you is, guys, the run-to-run changes from yesterday's Euro ensemble to overnight Euro ensemble is eye-popping as we get into that medium to slightly long range. First off, we trended colder as we're getting into Friday, this Friday. So this little area in blue, that's where we've trended colder when you compare this run to the last run. Okay? And then after that, look as we get kind of in between that week to 10-day time frame. We've trended colder over the middle of the country, and then we've trended much colder just across almost the entire lower 48 as a whole. We've trended colder across the eastern U.S., still a time frame that we're probably going to get a ridge flex, and we've just trended colder in general between day 7 and like day 12. And honestly, I think we just need to stop there. So at around day 10, and I know this is just one model trend to another, we've definitely trended colder. So this is something to watch, and I've been watching this over the last several days, and it's been kind of subtle at first, but it's really picked up the pace. Now, if you look at the Climate Prediction Center, they're just going full on ridge across the southeast from the 29th to the 3rd of December. And I mean, we probably will, but we're gonna warm up after this first cold front that's gonna move through later this week. Confidence is high in the blue for below average temperatures. And then we extend this from the 1st to the 7th, still continues to show that nasty southeast ridge across the southeast, warmer than average temperatures. A good chunk of the country, those below average. So, there's a lot of talk on December, guys. And listen, I'm gonna kind of back off a little bit from getting too detailed on December. I'm going to keep on going back to this, guys. Our MJO progression continues to look good. And in fact, I just updated the browser and it looks even better this morning. So let's explain this. And I've been jumbling up my words a lot explaining this over the last couple of days. So we're going to hope and pray that it goes a lot smoother this time. Phase 7, Phase 6, Phase 5, Phase 4. And here we go. We're messing up already, because we don't have the entirety of the thing in here. So let's make it a little bit smaller. I don't know why my Phase 3 and Phase 4 are not showing up. That stinks. So let's go back to this. Whatever. It's cool. So we're going to draw it in. So this is Phase 2 down here, and this is Phase 3. Not sure what's going on down there, but we're going to roll with it. Most people would edit that kind of stuff out their video, but I don't really care. But 7, 6, 5, 4, and 3. These are pretty much warm phases. You can still get shots of cold air in these phases, but it's pretty much dominated by warm air. Now, Phase 7, this introduces cold air into especially the northern and central areas of the country. And you can still get cold air in phase 3, but 4, 5, and 6 are really warm dominated phases as far as temperatures. Okay, phase 8, 1, and 2, which has now disappeared on our map, are colder phases, especially phase 8 and 1. Where are we and where are we heading? Well, you see the 8 and 10 right here, and 6, this was, 2 weeks ago. This is November 6th, November 8th. So we're at November 24th, and you see this 25 right here, that's November the 25th, which is tomorrow. So we're in this jumbled up mess right here, which is fully in phase 6, which is a warm phase, which is why it's been so warm across a good chunk of the country lately, except the Northeast. So it looks like we're going to move into phase 7 as we get over the next few days. That 27, 29, that's as we get into phase 7. So it's going to happen this week. And I would say the MJO chart has really nailed this, because it's been saying for the last week or so that we're going to get into phase 7 Thanksgiving week. And that's exactly what we're about to do. How long do we hang out in phase 7? Well, this shows about 2 weeks. So 27, 29, 1, see that 3, that's getting into December 1st, December 3rd, December 5th. It shows us kind of meandering around in phase 7. Now, if you've been tuning in, you've been noticed I've been talking about a loop getting hung up in phase 7 in this range. The latest, literally it just updated, the latest update with the chart here now kind of untangles that knot a little bit faster. And by the time we're into about the 11th, 3rd, and 14th, we're starting to go into phase 8. And we hang out in phase 8 for, I don't know, but we just need to get there first. If you're a winter weather or cold weather fan, we got to get to phase 8. And it continues to look like we're going to get there. Nothing has changed with that. In fact, the updated guidance looks like it gets there faster. Now, I do want to note, just because you get to phase 8, for example, on the 14th or 15th of December, that don't mean that bang, suddenly there's going to be a winter storm in the south. But if you live in the south, southeast, and even areas along the east coast, we really need to get this into phase 8. And there's probably going to be about a 1 week lag as the atmosphere responds to this. So it might, bang, the pattern might get great right at the holiday period. So, yeah, I mean, this is good news. I mean, that untangles the knot a little bit faster and we get to phase 8 quicker on this. So we just got to see how the model guidance responds to that. We got a severe weather threat to talk about for today, guys. This yellow area, that is a slight risk, level 2 out of 5. We could get an upgrade to an enhanced risk. This includes Houston, includes down here to College Station, Lufkin, Texas, Tyler, Longview, Shreveport, down to Alexandria, Monroe, El Dorado, into southern areas of Arkansas, all the way into Yazoo City, Vicksburg, into areas of Mississippi. Marginal risk, level 2 out of 5, surrounds that. I'm sorry, level 1 out of 5 surrounds that. There is a tornado threat in this slight risk. 2% risk of a tornado. I got it all mixed up. Green, I haven't talked on severe weather in a while, guys, so give me some grace here. The green is a 2% risk of a tornado. The brown is a 5% risk of a tornado today. Okay, so, I mean, it's not super high, but it could increase. And then we got a 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour within 25 miles in a given location in this yellow area. And then the hail threat will be there too. Not only do we have the 15% risk of hail, in this area, Waco, Tyler, Longview, Palestine, all these areas, we got a 10% risk of significant sized hail. All right, so we could get 2-inch in diameter or larger hail. So be aware of that today. Definitely going to be a higher severe weather threat than we've seen. I want to see if we upgrade to an enhanced risk. And just taking a look at, yeah, not sure what that noise was, but my phone went off in the middle of the update there. That was cool. We're starting off for Northeast Texas, and we get this in motion here. We're going to get thunderstorms this morning into early this afternoon. You can see how these thunderstorms continue to affect folks here in northeastern and eastern Texas as they start to move into Arkansas and Louisiana later into the evening. But, you know, it could get dicey near Lufkin, up to Shreveport, which we'll talk more on here in a second as we start to get into the evening, and then all the energy begins to clear out by midnight tonight. And taking a closer look in southeastern areas of Texas as we continue to move forward here, we get into to this afternoon, and we got some thunderstorms down here too, and we got to watch for discrete supercells or semi-discrete. College Station down to Columbus, Huntsville. Just be mindful of this, and if you look really closely, you can kind of see these circle areas. This is where we could have rotating updrafts, stronger updrafts. Some of these storms could produce tornadoes. So this is getting 8, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Time frame is up here if you're missing me with the time frame here. Very slow moving system with this positively tilted trough moving over the area. Arkansas, this is 10 a.m., 11 a.m., midday, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. I think most of the severe weather chances will be for the southern areas of Arkansas, south of Little Rock. And then we look at Louisiana. I mean, this is early this afternoon. We got some thunderstorms around 3 p.m. Monroe, north of Alexandria, Shreveport. And then we start to get into this evening. A line of thunderstorms could make its way in. This is 9 p.m. And just be aware of these. These could produce all hazards, tornado risk, damaging winds, even some hail with these. And then the energy starts to dip down to southeast Louisiana. And then we did take a look at Mississippi and Alabama also. Energy moving in. Mississippi starting to see impacts. I mean, this is later this evening too. 8, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight tonight. Could be a rocky overnight period with some thunderstorms. And then we start to get into 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thunderstorms cruising through the area. So this is the updraft Felicity swath. This is where we could have rotating updrafts, stronger updrafts. And this doesn't always mean tornadoes. It also means some larger hail too. So you see northern Texas, eastern Texas kind of highlighted into this. And then we also take a look at, Louisiana with this too. And I have to go back to this and go that. And you can see the risk of rotating updrafts in central Louisiana. So just be aware of that. But the rest of today's weather, we'll get this back in motion here. We got that energy already cruising through areas of Texas. We're just going to have to pause this because it's not working with me well right now. But we already got some energy moving through Texas, Arkansas, southern Oklahoma. And this is pretty much the energy that's going to bring our severe weather threat for later on today. We got some energy across the northern Rockies. And this is the energy that's going to move across the northern sections of the country over the next 24 to 48 hours and move into some cold air and bring the potential for a winter storm and really a blizzard across areas up here. And we got those winter storm watches up here, winter weather advisories here, these winter storm watches in that teal color. A lot of dense fog across the country. We've already talked about the severe weather chances down here. And, the excessive rainfall chances will be here also. So if you live in this entire yellow area, this is where you have a 15% risk of excessive rainfall. And then we look at the southeast today, mostly quiet, but some of this moisture will begin to move into the mid-south, Kentucky, later on tonight. And then we wake up tomorrow morning. We're probably going to wake up to some thunderstorms in Atlanta, moving through Birmingham, eastern Tennessee. We got just good old-fashioned rain up here in the Ohio Valley. And hopefully we can get some rain kind of east of the Appalachian Mountains because we could definitely use it. It hasn't rained at my house yet this month. Northeast, quiet weather. Nothing to really expect up here. But we are going to get some moisture. It starts to move up into the Ohio Valley, into sections of the Northeast as we get into tomorrow morning. This will be all rain, but cold air is on the way. We've already talked about the south central U.S. We got those thunderstorms to the south. This is mainly just rain up here as we get into this evening in areas of Missouri, northern Arkansas, getting into Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky. And then the north central U.S. Here comes our storm system, rain surging out in front. But if you like rain, enjoy it while you can tonight because it's going to switch to snow probably later tomorrow. But you got this compact low pressure moving in and waking up to a snowstorm in areas of North Dakota, northern Minnesota. And I do think the precipitation will intensify as this low pressure deepens. And I just want to watch out for brief blizzard conditions in this area as we're getting into tomorrow, late tomorrow night. Several inches of snow between now and the next 36, 48 hours up here. Nothing that you guys can't handle, but you haven't had much snow so far for fall or the start of winter. So definitely a quick hitting winter storm for this area. Several inches of snow is possible to likely. The western U.S., there's that energy that will move into the northern plains and the north central U.S. And we got some snow up here in northern Montana, snow in eastern Montana. And then we got another system moving into the Pacific Northwest. Temperatures, what it's looking like. It's going to enjoy your warm day, I would say, up here in the UP of Michigan. Some areas will get into the 50s ahead of what's on the way over the next 36 hours or so. So enjoy what little bit of warm weather you got left. I really think today will be one of our last warm days up into the Great Lakes region. So I know 40s and 50s is not warm for us in the South. But for up here, it is. So enjoy it while you can. Make any preparations, winter preparations, if you will. out west, not overly cold or hot, guys. So that's all I got. I do want to do a quick Bible devotion. I am running really behind on time this morning, but I don't want to leave Jesus hanging here, and that'd be the wrong thing to do. So this morning we're in Matthew chapter 24, verse 36 through 44. So it's a long one, and a lot of people are familiar with this one. And it says, "Now concerning the day and hour no one knows, neither the angels of heaven nor the Son, except the Father alone. As the days of Noah were, so the coming of the Son of Man will be. For in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day Noah boarded the ark. They didn't know until the flood came and swept them all away. This is the way the coming of the Son of Man will be. Then 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and one left. 2 women will be grinding grain and with a handmill, one will be taken and one left. Therefore be alert, since you don't know what day your Lord is coming. But know this, if the homeowner had known what time the thief was coming, he would have stayed alert and not let his house be broken into. This is why you are also to be ready, because the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect." So wrote a couple things down. First thing I want to note, and this is contrary to what you read on crazy videos you watch on YouTube and what such and such says, no one knows when Jesus is coming back. Scripture says this very clearly. Nobody knows. Even though Joe Blow on YouTube saying, hey, he's coming back on May the 15th of 2027, no one knows. Maybe somebody disagrees with that, just watching, but that's my core belief. It says it in Scripture. Being awake is a call to live a life that is committed to faith. Don't live in fear, knowing the time could be sudden. Focus your time on His return, but focus your time not on His return by living the life He has called you to live. So what I mean by that is, don't get so caught up on when He's returning, but more so focus on living the life He has called you to live. This way of life is the only way and will help others be awake and ready. Lastly, one will be taken and one left. It says that in Scripture, right? The reality is that people will be left behind when Jesus comes back. The ultimate readiness is accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior, acknowledging He died on the cross to save us from our sins, becoming saved. If anybody's got any questions about that, hit me up through email, weathercrazy48 at gmail.com. Send me a message on social media if you want to talk about something like that. Please reach out. Please reach out. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all so much. And we'll continue to figure out this crazy pattern that's ahead. God bless.